I've written a piece about periods. Everyone's favourite subject for a woman to talk about on stage. But I'm gonna go for it. Because I've been thinking a lot about how we don't really sort of honour like life transitions in the West so much. Like culturally, we don't have kind of transitions and stuff. Like you just go from being a kid to a woman, and we don't kind of like honour those things. So I've been thinking about that. I wrote this piece. Sorry, I just needed to let out how I feel about it. Great, beautiful. Imagine a world where menstruation was honoured and not shamed. Each cycle a lesson, each bleed a gift, each bleed was yours. You survived another one. You passed the test of another season, and now you are seasoned, ripened, and wise. What will you create and destroy next time with all this unimaginable power that goes unnoticed right between your thighs? So there's a bit of an intro that happened recently, and then the piece is called Lifeblood. So I came on my period unexpectedly in London recently, a notoriously friendly place. I had counted my cycle wrong, or it had changed and shifted date. Either way, I had nothing with me, right? And I was caught short. And I asked a man on reception of my accommodation if there were any staff members that could help and had something spare on them they could let me use, so I could quickly go to the shops and solve the situation. And he looked at me like I had told him I had murdered someone in my room and needed help cleaning up the body. It was so mortifying as he visibly recoiled at my presence and request. And for a moment I reverted back into this like smaller version of myself before growing tall again and thinking, hang on a minute, mate. Periods are how we got here. If periods didn't exist, you and I would remain a twinkle in the eye of our parents and would not be here having this deeply unenjoyable interaction. He was not moved. And I decided to go and shove some bog roll in my pants instead so I could get to the shop and resolve the situation myself. Whilst in the shop, okay, I'm hunting for moon cuts like a warrior wolf, shoving snacks furiously into a basket. And an intense siren alarm goes off, and a security guard suddenly approaches me. And he says, "Miss, I'm sorry, but you need to put that down immediately. We've got to emergency evacuate the store." And I say, "No!" Like a rabid dog moments away from bleeding through their shorts in public. I hold up the sanitary towels with the laser beam eyes of a desperate murderous cat. "I need to buy these now," I say, steam coming off my head, probably. "Okay, miss, you can get that, but you'll have to leave the basket behind," he replies. And as everyone starts frantically evacuating the store, for a moment, I look into the basket full of snacks. Family-sized bars of dark chocolate, candy kittens, salty crisps. And I question if I should run with that basket free bleeding onto the streets of Sheffield, like the feral wildebeest I am. I'm not going to tell you what choice I made, but no regrets. The whole experience feels very in keeping with this piece I wrote, remembering the first time I ever came on my period and my subsequent experience with periods throughout my life. Because essentially I'm becoming a very angry woman, and I thought, why am I so fucking angry all the time? And I'm like, is it because I'm supposed to suppress this like really important stuff and just pretend it's not happening? The piece is called Lifeblood. The first time I came on my period and entered the bleeding realm of warriors, I was not conveniently located. I was in the middle of an art class at school, which sounds way more romantic and expressionist than it was. Perhaps if I was middle class, there would have been classical music played. You know, I'm imagining like a small violin concerto. I would have fallen backwards off my chair and fainted whilst drawing a naked lady, alerting someone to rush towards me with a towel and some smelling salts, swiftly escorting me to a pristine bathroom stocked full with a variety of menstrual supplies and given time and space in a specially created nap room, where upon a chaise lounge I would be fed grapes and chocolate by Kate Winslet. While someone brought me impressionist paintings of my rage that had been created in my honour with my menstrual blood by the art group. I would reflect upon upon them, like the Rorschach ink block test, clearing decades of inherited psychological trauma in one sitting. But alas, I went to a violent comprehensive school in Swindon. That you would think would be much more appreciative of blood, but were definitely in my snooty, experimental and expressionist ideas. I will never forget my teacher's face as I stood up and leaned over for a plastic paintbrush with remnants of yesterday's glue in it in order to paint a boring bowl of rotting fruit from the staff room, because nudity is way too sophisticated for us plebs. Revealing my blood-stained shorts. Her face was one of disgust. I was also quickly spied in my newly blood-soaked state by a passing boy, who I imagine by his... This is just adding to the atmosphere. Who I imagine by his shell-shocked face is still traumatised and working through it in therapy. Is it easier for me to just...
So the issue is no one actually knows what's gone wrong. So if it makes that sound, the best bet is to just faster turn it off.
We'll keep going.
Although it's now not doing it.
We'll do it storytelling style,
Okay.
And I'll try and blitz through it. I do have a watch keeping time. So, teachers discussed it. I'm bleeding profusely. Teenage boys looking at me. I was quickly spied in my newly blood-soaked state by a passing boy, who I imagine by his shell-shocked face is still traumatised and working through it in therapy. Had he been told what this was? Or was I just some girl suddenly and randomly bleeding profusely from the legs? I think you need to go and fix yourself, the teacher said over and over, grabbing me by the shoulders and steering me out of the room like I was a broken down vehicle leaking all over the floor. Here, tie this round your waist, says another more generous girl next to me, thrusting me a spare, dirty school jumper. I do the long walk of shame out of the classroom, as the boy inevitably tells his friends, and they all laugh and throw stuff at me whilst making up stories, because now I am a tainted lady. The teacher places me outside like I have gone off and might pollute the atmosphere. Do you know what to do, she says. Do you have anything with you? I stare at her, confused. The stare of a girl who has been raised religiously and has been asked by her single parent and the elders at the congregation of a Jehovah's Witness Kingdom Hall to leave all sex education classes and assemblies. I have no idea what is happening. I assume I am dying, and she means I should get some paper to write my will. After a lot of silence and attempting to think up what my final words would be, I don't own anything, I say, like a pauper from the 18th century. Wait here, she says. She closes the door and goes back into the classroom, leaving me alone, bleeding in the hallway. I move my daps to one side and look at a spot of it on the floor. Well, I had a good innings, I think. I wonder what they'll say about me after I'm gone, you know. Maybe I'll get a plaque on this wall to commemorate me. Here lies the bleeding girl. She couldn't ever keep between the lines, but her apples were bold, very lifelike. The teacher returns with a sanitary towel and thrusts it at me. Here, use this, she says. She looks at my face. You put it in your pants. Do you want it back after? No, she says sternly. Go, hurry. And I start running down the corridor. She shouts after me. Oh, and by the way, your pot has exploded in the kiln again. The art class door slams, and like my hopes and dreams of pottery success, I am shattered in the fires of reality and must rebuild myself anew from the pieces. And that was it. Shove a giant pad in your pants and pretend it's not happening and get on with it. In the toilets, which smell like you would imagine, cheap bleach and broken dreams. I cry for no reason because I'm sensitive. And then out of nowhere, with the force of the Incredible Hulk surging through me, I just punch his soap dispenser clean off the wall. Presumably because I'm aggressive and violent and should be locked up. I now possess a kind of rage that could burn down buildings and smash through walls. I'm like a monstrous hormonal creature, and I have no pathway through this bloody beautiful wilderness. So I shove it down, and it becomes my own private wilderness, deemed madness to civilized society. I am not honoured for the power I possess. There is literal lifeblood flowing inside me. I am a woman now, I'm a creator, and no one cares.